Sabrina Carpenter, goodbye. Let's talk about it.
Introducing the perfect companion to your morning listening routine. AG1's clinically backed formula is now flavor-packed with 3 new delicious flavors: tropical, berry, and citrus. Start the day on a high note with probiotics that taste like the tropics. Mix it up with micronutrients that taste like berry or citrus. And take it all the way back with the classic AG1 Original with notes of pineapple and vanilla. Do your health a flavor, or 4, with AG1 Next Gen, the daily health drink. Learn more at drinkag1.com.
How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About It, Music Reviews, Season 11. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Guys, this is the final track review. I mean, it's been a journey. I ain't gonna lie. It's been a few days of covering this album. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, this has been a pretty good experience. I mean, going from the last album, and, also going from the last album to the last album's deluxe, I was very curious of what this album was going to sound like, and I'm going to say, this album has definitely blown out a lot of expectations, a lot of early expectations that I set, in the beginning of what I talked about, last week, has already happened, and honestly, has happened, and a little bit more. So there's a lot that, happened on this album. We will be talking about it on Wednesday. For my 4 a.m. people that remember that time schedule I was doing, 4 a.m. Here's a little 4 a.m. review that you can wake up to on Tuesday for. But this is the final track review, guys. It's been a good ride. It's been a good journey covering this album. I can't wait to finish this album and start talking about the NFL. But,
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Zysol is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Zysol keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all. Take Zysol. At night.
First, we got to talk about this. And we got to talk about this song, guys, which is called Goodbye. This is the final track off the album. I was debating if I was going to do a final track off the album review. Usually I don't really pick the last song because a lot of albums, the last song is never, never feels like the last song. It never feels like that. So I never really picked the last song off the albums. But this time, it's a Sabrina Carpenter album. I might as well do it. Usually there's always something at the end of these songs. So let's get into it, starting off talking about the beat. I really do like this instrumental. I like how this instrumental has a lot to it. It does remind me of kind of the first track. When we listen to Tears had a lot of orchestra kind of vibes going on here. But this is kind of taking those orchestra vibes and kind of, upping them up by 10 times. You actually got some trumpets here, you got some more violin actually really doing its thing on here, which I really like. You also got some keys. You also got some instruments that I'm not really picking up that I can hear. I'm hearing some clapping, I'm hearing some stomping. I'm hearing a lot of other elements that are just kind of baked into this track, which keeps the
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
Value going, keeps it going up, keeps you want to keep listening over and over and over again, which is great. And I was kind of surprised, we even had, an instrumental break. This song is only like 3 minutes long, but it feels like a 4 to 5 minute song, even though it's not that long, which, is really cool in my opinion. It means there's a lot into the track. It means that, as you keep listening to, there's all these different elements that you're picking up. So I think this instrumental is great. I like all the sounds to it. The only thing I will say about this instrumental, I really wish there was some more drums. I wish there was some more drums in here. I think some really good drums would have made this song go up even more. I like the instrumental. I like how it's moving you. It's got a lot going on. It's got a lot of background elements too. But I really wish there was more on the drums. I feel like the drums could have been turned up a little bit more, etc. I just wish we would have got some drums. But besides that, guys, all the elements on this instrumental, absolutely do hit. So I definitely do enjoy that. And now let's move on and let's start talking about the first verse. First of all, I don't really usually talk about lyrics that much on songs. But I'll say, these lyrics were pretty good, pretty written well. Sounds pretty good. It's about heartbreak, etc. Honestly, I'll be real. The amount of heartbreak songs that are on this album goes way over what Short and Sweet did. Went way over what the Deluxe did. So, if you were expecting a horny album, you're definitely not getting much of that horny album. You're getting a lot more heartbroken songs here. So I would say the writing was pretty good on here. Sounds pretty good. And then, the singing on here. I'd say the singing was pretty good. I like the flow overall. My only thing about this song that I don't really like is there's moments where she does.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
New Vitamin Water Zero Sugar Pineapple Passion Fruit is packed with vitamins. Just like the amount of peas we packed in that sentence. It's packed like your tote bag. The one you stole from your ex. Or your overpriced half a studio apartment. Or extra rushed rush hour traffic. Packed like your calendar. Triple booked at 5, of course. Grab a vitamin water. Did we mention it's packed with vitamins?
These vocal switch ups. And there's this higher pitch vocal switch up that she does when she's singing. And I'll be real, it kind of felt too much like talking. I'll just be real, it didn't really sound like singing in my opinion. It sounded, like, we're doing the ha-ha, talking a little bit in the track. And I'll be real, guys, I don't like talking in music that much. If you start talking in your song, I immediately just want to turn it off. I'm not coming to listen to a song to listen to a goddamn podcast. That's not what I signed up for. And so, I definitely heard that, but it was only a slight vocal switch up, and then it goes back to the hook, and the hook was overall really good. I like the vocals, I like the singing, I like there's actually some vocal runs. A lot of pop songs don't have a lot of goddamn vocal runs. This one actually has some vocal runs, the background vocals coming in, really helping it out in my opinion, which was really enjoyable. And yeah, guys, I'll say this, overall when we talk about this song, Sabrina Carpenter, Goodbye, I think all the elements here, the instrumental really pushing in, really doing its thing with the violin, with the trumpets, with the orchestra vibe going on. I wish there was some more drums in this, instrumental, but the instrumental overall was really great. Then you have some really good verses, a really good hook. And I would say, guys, for a final...
$1 million, free to play. You just need to survive. It's the Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Pick one team to win each week. Get it right, move on. Get it wrong, you're out. The last fans standing take home a guaranteed $1 million cash prize. And for every player who joins, we add $1 to the pot, up to $10 million. The Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Play free on the Fanatics app. App access open to all. Must be 21 plus and joined by 9/8 to play. No purchase necessary, U.S. only, void where prohibited. Subject to complete terms, see fanatics.com/game rules.
Track off the album. This is a pretty good final track off the album, but is it a good final track off the album just to listen to by itself? And I would say yes. I definitely would, give this one. I don't think this is going to hit, the high tier of what we've been doing. This doesn't, keep the crazy, score streak going what we were doing on this album. But I will say this is a really good track and pretty good track to end off this album. So overall, I'm going to be giving Goodbye an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, guys. What y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow and turn on notifications, guys. We're dropping new content every single day. And hey, guys, album reviews coming up, so make sure you get ready for that. That'll be coming up very soon. Right after you're listening to this track review is the final one. The next thing that will be uploaded is an album review of Sabrina Carpenter's new album, Man's Best Friend. So we'll be doing that very soon, guys. I'll be talking about that, so make sure you follow so you get notified when that drops, and I'll see you later. You have a good one. Bye.